welcome to Busted Speakers. I'm Alex.
And I'm Cam.
And today we're reviewing the 8th kind of album by The Chicks. I guess it's their 5th major label album, right?
I think so, yeah, I lost count.
Yeah, and it's the first as The Chicks, previously known as the Dixie Chicks, which I'm sure fans of the band who have been fans for decades at this point will never be able to wrap their heads around. They'll just always be the Dixie Chicks to them. And I guess that's what it is. But I haven't really heard anything by them before. And this is actually the first album I've heard by them. And I haven't even heard some other albums in preparation for this, like Cam has. So, yeah, Gaslighter is their first album in 14 years. And I don't even know why that is. Do you know, Cam?
Well, let's see. We all should be by now aware of the great shame that was... just the music industry shunning them for their comments on George Bush back in 2003.
We know they're on the right side of history now.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And, I wasn't aware of them back at the time. I was barely listening to any modern music back in, 2003. So, everything I know about them is as history.
Yeah.
I knew more about them from a Simpsons episode than from hearing any of their songs on the radio. If you can believe it.
And that goes to show how much of a news item it was, if it was a Simpsons episode worthy, I guess.
Yeah. I don't even remember when that Simpsons episode came out. It might have been, over a decade after... Well, not over a decade, but, a long time after the fact.
It could have been.
But anyway, I assumed that, that happened and they were immediately ousted and they never recorded anything else again. But they actually did record one more album after that, but it just... didn't perform as well as they'd hoped. They got tired of touring. Any number of them had any number of kids by that point, so they just decided to take a break from touring.
I guess that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna, complain about artists taking a break to, be with their families.
That's what living is.
Yep, gotta make big decisions.
Fair enough. And the good news is their fan base, the fervor they have, hasn't dissipated when it was announced that the Chicks, or even still the Dixie Chicks at that point, and it was at that point, if you check early artwork for the album, it does say their original name, and I believe it was so late in the game that any physical copy you get at this point will have the original name on it, the Dixie Chicks.
Possibly. So, now you make me want to run to Target and check.
Yeah. I pre-ordered it, so and my copy's coming, I think, tomorrow, so I won't know till then. So I'll let you know. So I was definitely prepared not to be fully prepared for this album. I hadn't heard anything from them. I'd be convinced that I'd have missed something, or because I didn't know any of their other albums or songs, I'd be missing out on something, some aspect. I would just not be fully prepared for this. But honestly, I think this might actually be a good album for them to pick up new fans, because I like this album immediately, pretty much. And the only time I'd ever heard of them was that Soon You'll Get Better song on Lover by Taylor Swift. And I guess they must have... I don't know where Jack Antonoff entered the picture. I know he produced a several amount of songs on Lover, and maybe they got talking then, but I believe this might have been before then. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But basically, Jack Antonoff is a producer extraordinaire on this album. If you see the amount of instruments and stuff he contributes to these songs, he has to be one of the most involved producer-performers ever on this album. Have you seen all the stuff he does?
Yeah, I did. It's incredible.
You almost don't need session musicians.
Yeah, maybe that was the idea. Maybe it was just hey, I can play all these things. That'll help speed up sessions a little. Even
though that may have speeded up sessions a little, obviously the album was delayed because of COVID-19. I believe original release date was in the spring.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's July, so definitely was. So, you like this album, Cam? And how does it compare, actually, to other ones that you've heard in prep to this?
Yeah, I really did like this album. And my only preparation for this was listening to all of Wide Open Spaces and Fly and a little bit of Home. At that point, I figured I had a pretty good idea of what they were about in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And they were starting to get a little more bluegrassy toward the last couple of albums that I had heard. And I'm never going to complain about that. I love, bluegrassiness. They have great harmonies. They're all very talented multi-instrumentalists. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick up those albums next time I find them anywhere.
Yeah.
But this album it's definitely not, 90s country rock. It's definitely not bluegrass. But at the same time, it also doesn't really feel like it's trying to be, just modern radio country. Because like I'm so out of touch with country. Like I've never been a huge country fan, country, follower. So it's like to me it seems like these days we've either got traditionalists or anti-traditionalists, I guess, like Sturgill and Chris Stapleton, and then you've got like the bro country artists and guys who've
Oh
pivoted
no.
toward that kind of sound. I don't even really know what female country artists are doing these days because like most of them seem to just be like trying to court pop music and trying to cross over that way, without necessarily being quote unquote country.
Like
And so
Maren Morris, people
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
so like I really didn't know what to expect with this. Like if they were gonna try to come back with their older sound, which probably wouldn't have gone over too well. It's like I'm not even entirely sure how this fits into modern music really well, but it does sound modern while still sounding like the Dixie Chicks. Like the harmonies are still there, and I feel like that's probably the main thing that fans would have looked out for. Without the harmonies, basically, what's the point of being, this group?
Yeah, and I got the impression that their harmonies was a major selling point immediately from the first track, the first 10 seconds. To start an album with the chorus immediately, with no instrumental accompaniment, that is not, like, a common thing to do, I feel like. So, the title track, which does this, I mean, it kind of is a pop song in a way, with country bells and whistles, but definitely not pop in a modern context, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
I understand. Yeah.
like the three vocals of all three of them singing together is so powerful. Like you can tell these gals, these chicks, I guess they wouldn't mind being called that if they're called the chicks. I don't know. There's a real and unexplainable power to all of them singing at once during the chorus, which is really great. And I just got the impression when they all sing together that they can move mountains.
Like again, I've only heard those older albums. I've heard once
Well,
each,
yeah, true.
but I mean, like especially later on, they had spent enough time with each other that if there was ever any trouble with them harmonizing to that level of power, it was definitely resolved and more powerful by the later albums.
So I'm guessing the title track was a favorite of yours.
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely a highlight. Definitely sows the seeds and starts getting the threads going for the rest of the album.
Yeah, and we'll get into the threads pretty soon because they're very easily discernible.
Mm-hmm.
Weird thing about this song is whenever I guess Natalie Maines, even though it is in the chorus, so I guess it's all three of them singing it, is do anything to get your ass further.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, every time they do that, I keep thinking they're gonna do anything to get your ass fired. I don't know why. It's because like when I see "get your ass fired," I don't know. It's like maybe the pronunciation of the start of "farther" makes me think they're about to say that. But every time I think they're gonna say that, which does not make sense for the song meaning at all, obviously. But that's just something I've always thought.
I mean, if you consider divorce the kind of firing, I don't know, it's a stretch. But...
Yeah. So obviously this song is like a collective triumphant trashing of like men who have like gaslighted and just made up shit like throughout relationships that could be a collective conglomeration of all of their experiences. Maybe that's what the meaning I got out of that one. Like this could be directed at many different scenarios of.
It could be like I think I read that the three ladies in this band have like 5 divorces between them. And then, of course, in this day and age, people have also, made connections with the current American presidential administration. I'm going to let that hang for a second. And continue.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of power to this song that really influences, or just, like, informs the rest of the album. So, yeah, there really couldn't be a better opener for this one.
That... in introducing the themes and just it being darned catchy, like instantly. Like you don't start a song with no accompaniment and just start with a chorus if it's not like a really catchy chorus. Like, that's something Any Way You Want It by Journey does, but that's also one of the catchiest songs ever made. So, Yep. Yeah, that's continued in Sleep at Night. This one I feel like is directed more specifically at one person.
Mm-hmm.
What a song! Like, it's kind of a similar lyrical theme of trashing the man, but this man deserves to be in the trash. Like, when I heard the line, my husband's girlfriend's husband called me up, that, like, goes to show, like, the level of, like, this man is cheating on her, leading a double life, and, like, it's so emotional. Like, how can you sleep at night? Like, that is, like, the ultimate, like, that you don't matter to me type of thing. I know it's clear cut, clear as day lyrics, like, but
Yep.
there's something they do that makes it so emotional to me. A really good banjo playing on that. Is that banjo, I think?
Yep. Could have been dobro too. I don't know things. I don't know how to tell the difference personally.
We're not musically adept enough to know every instrument when we hear it. We have to
No, we're not.
figure these things out. Yeah,
I can't play a stringed instrument to save my life.
same.
Anyway.
So yeah, those just having those two at the start is like makes it clear what this album's about.
Yep. And then
partly about.
yeah, I think that the rest of the album falls more into like a Sleep at Night kind of vein. You don't really get anything quite as highly polished as Gaslighter, nothing quite as radio friendly, I would say.
Not really, no. That is clearly like the one song. If it was going to be a hit, it would be that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see that they did have proper, fully fledged top 10 US Billboard singles, like not country hits, pop hits back in the day. And I know they were like in the top 10. Like I don't know they've been away for 15 years, so I don't know if it was still likely they'd have another hit of that magnitude because the scene's changed quite a bit. But I guess that had a slight chance. Again, that's a really strong 1-2 punch. Any other songs that like really were notable to you?
I think people have picked out March March as a highlight, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think was the third single, or promo single at least.
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, which, that's a song that's, like, the most singular on the album. Nothing else really sounds like it. It starts with just, Natalie singing over, some kind of, like, a drum track or a click track or something. And it just, like, starts adding more instruments throughout, but not, like, they're not, like, constantly playing. They're not all doing rhythm parts. They just, like, kind of stab in and out of the song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is an angry song, but one of like self-resilience, like, and it's like a mantra. It's they keep referring to herself as an army of one. It's like I feel like this is stemmed from like a lot of the time women have to like rely on themselves to be an army of one because men will just fuck things up and become unreliable. So men, why are we so trash?
I don't know. But it's also like a song of solidarity, you know? It's like saying March, March to my own drum, but it's also about, you know, being on the right side of history. And,
exactly.
You know, like, there's a line about, like, trying to, you know, understand that, you know, for want of a better phrase, you know, children are the future. Kids these days know more than adults think that they do. And they, you know, understand more things. They have to deal with more issues, and they are, like, you know, hopefully more sympathetic, so they're trying to like pave the way for a more sympathetic future for everybody, and that's what they're trying to do.
Definitely, that was definitely a really notable song as well, and it's really cool like percussive hand clapping ideas happening here as well. Like it's unlike any other song on the album. Almost actually remind me of some stuff on Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
Yeah, a bit.
I'll just reference that in every review.
Yeah.
Because it is one of the pivotal albums of the year. And
yep. Don't forget to mark off Fetch the Bolt Cutters on your Busted Speakers bingo cards, listeners.
Yep, it's going to be that, future nostalgia, me going like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how many times I've said that in a review. It's probably in the hundreds.
Yeah. Really, it's hard to pick standouts because they all just, or most of them, pretty much tie into the, you know, theme of divorce.
I mean, yeah, Tights on My Boat. That one. What a title. I mean, the trashing of the man on this song, it might even be the same scenario as in Sleep at Night. Like, it might be the exact same person being addressed here. But the trashing on this one makes those first two songs even feel a bit tame in comparison. There's no love left. This is like almost complete hate at this point. It's almost the narrator finds like this man laughable at this point. Like, it's not even worth like getting annoyed at because he's so pathetic.
Yeah, like, this is very much a dirty laundry kind of divorce
Yeah,
album.
yeah. And I don't know if they've like just like accumulated all these songs they needed to get out there at this point. I feel like that's what a lot of these are.
Yeah, like I had read that they were originally going to just release a covers album to get out of their contract with Sony, but Natalie's divorce was happening back in 2017 when they were, talking about regrouping, and that just, lit the fire in her to write songs again.
Wow, yeah. So a lot of these songs will be informed by that, obviously.
Mhm.
Juliana calmed down as well. Like to me, this might actually be the most meaningful song lyrically on the album because with mentioning a couple of non-specific female names, this is just like a lot of words of wisdom to women going out of relationships for the first time. Like I don't know if you could call the chicks like elder stateswomen of the scene at this point, but I feel like they've been around long enough that they feel like they can give words of wisdom and advice to people because they've been through some shit at this point. So that's what I feel like this song is. Good advice in a song generally to me.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what the relationship is, how it's going. Like I know it's hard, but just take it in your stride no matter how much it hurts. Like pretty much just emphasized by the put on your best shoes and strut around.
I know, yeah. The names are the names of the band members' daughters.
Oh, okay.
Like up to a point, like the last one with an annotation on Genius because we only use one source for all of our information.
I actually used Songfacts once, so
Ah, all right, diversifying. But like, there's other names through there that don't have, that aren't said to be the names of any of their children. Maybe those are more, general and meant to just address women as a whole. But
well, that states that it could be spurned originally from that, and then it
yeah,
grew further.
they are mostly the names of the members' daughters. And then the track after that, Young Man, becomes an address to Natalie's sons, just hoping that, they actually, take something good from their father, but grow to be better than him at the same time.
And then it's also like no matter what advice they get, in the end, it's up to them what they can do to be the best versions of themselves.
Yep, so the album isn't all just, trashing the, bad men that they've had to deal
Yeah.
with in their lives. It's all, there is, an element of hope and moving on from
There's
this
even some
album.
of that on track 3, Texas Man. There's also Everybody Loves You, which, what a song.
Mm-hmm. Here's something interesting. That's the only song on the album that doesn't have a writing credit from the band members.
Okay.
I don't think it existed before this album. I don't know if they like commissioned it or if they just like heard it from like someone's demos and decided it fit the album or something. But I just find that interesting.
It
Like
is written by someone else.
yeah. I'm not one to say that like, oh, only songs written by the artist unless it's like explicitly a cover are valid. Like I don't care that they didn't write every song on the album. It's if they commissioned it, if they did find it and just say, "Hey, it matches the themes, let's buy this one." I don't care. It's a good song and they do it well.
These lyrics are, if they're not written by them, they still hit very hard, and they've reappropriated them for them, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, it is by one of the songwriters, Charlotte Lawrence, originally released on an EP in 2018.
I don't know what contact they have with her of just, I don't know, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but obvious, like that song, even with that origin of it, it's still really good what they do with it here. It's like a tired, weary ballad of confusion over the narrator's personal experiences. Son, man, it's like, I'm trying to forgive you, but my body, it hates you. It's like, these aren't complicated lines, and it that just really make you think, like, what has this man done in the past that her body still has a knee-jerk hate reaction? And maybe he's trying to better himself, but why does everybody love him? It's like, these are like really internal thoughts that I didn't think would ever be expressed in a song. You know what I mean? Like, these are things you just think to yourself, in a way.
Yeah, and yet, like, in the wake of, various. I don't want to, get too glib or anything, but, like, just various Me Too scandals and that kind of thing.
It's
I feel like I've
definitely,
seen some, survivors say this kind of thing about their assaulters.
yeah, and this is just, it's good that they're standing in solidarity with this. I don't know the songwriter who wrote this, his experiences, But either way, like this song, having it on this level of prominence definitely shows that they're sympathizing, at least. They're understanding and they want to do what they can, especially with all these advice songs as well on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of like a better artist whose a late career album, when I haven't heard the past ones, resonated with me so much. Honestly, like this was really excellent.
Yeah.
What would you give this one, Kim?
I think I would give this one an 8 out of 10. Again, I don't have, the full attachment to their early material. I can totally understand how, like, this might seem, frustratingly different for people who are hoping them to, come back exactly the same. And it's really hard to classify it. Like, is it just modern country? Is it just pop with, country bells and whistles, like you said? I don't really think it matters so much. I think it's just the Chicks album.
Yeah.
This is the album that they wanted to write. This is the album that I think they were meant to release in this day and age. And, whether or not it, quote unquote, fits in with their previous discography, I just think it's the best album that, they could release for, themselves right now.
Yeah, I'll give this a 8 as well. From just knowing them from a little bit in the Miss Americana documentary, this was just one of the most approachable, accessible albums I've heard in ages. Just very easily replayable and re-listenable. It's interesting because I can hear how they inspired Taylor Swift from just this album, and you have to think Taylor's pretty much entire career happened in the interim between their last album and this one, pretty much, right?
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, and retroactively, some of these songs actually sound like they could be informed by Taylor, and it does help that they have her producer, Jack Antonoff, so I guess there's a little bit of to and fro there. The influencer influenced by the influenced. I don't know. But yeah, great little album. Lots of pertinent, pressing messages. A lot of cutting, trashing songs are actually quite triumphant in how they come across. They feel like they're stronger than ever at this point, maybe. They've been through a lot of shit together, and this is like a great culmination of everything they've been to, I presume. So yeah, very happy with this album. 8 out of 10 from me. Definitely going to be looking back at their past ones. Yep.
Me too.
I'll just have to cover the Dixie part with a post-it note. So it's always going to be the Chicks. Yeah.
All right, and that concludes us for Gaslighter by the Chicks. Leave this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of our album reviews. You can follow us on Twitter @_BustedSpeakers. You can follow me on Twitter @SubProspector, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.